All right, well, as you just heard, President Trump is now warning of major consequences if Iran does not reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a critical passage for the world's energy supply.
We've been tracking this. The move could have major implications both globally and here at home. Joining us live this morning to break it all down is Paul Bledsoe, a public policy expert and environmental politics professor at American University. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Let's go ahead and start with the president's warning, which we've been seeing this play out, right? If Iran does not reopen the Strait of Hormuz in short order, what are the most realistic scenarios we could see playing out?
Well, it's very difficult to force the Strait of Hormuz to open with military force because Iran obviously has missiles very close and nearby. The White House clearly didn't do enough planning to anticipate that the world's economy and American consumers are at immediate risk from this war. I don't believe the president fully understood the consequences. Now motorists are facing gasoline over $4. The average family is going to pay $720 more in gasoline costs this year. There are few good options unless we get a ceasefire in this war.
Well, the Strait carries about 20% of the world's oil supply. How quickly would global markets react if it remains restricted or closed?
Well, there's still a shortage of both oil and natural gas on global markets because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So it would take quite a while for global oil supplies to reach previous levels. The markets, however, the stock markets would react more quickly. Even so, the effect on the global economy has already been severe. We're seeing spiked inflation around the world and in the United States. So the economic impacts are already significant.
In terms of how you see this ending, is there a peaceful resolution, to reopening the strait? Do you believe this will likely result in an extension of the war with Iran? I mean, if you were just explaining this to viewers at home, is there any kind of simple answer here?
One of the reasons that previous presidents have not attacked Iran is concerns that Iran would try to permanently or for a long term close the Strait of Hormuz. That was the case all the way back to the Clinton era when I was in the White House. And so the concern is that Iran has threatened to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed even after hostilities are ended. And that's the real concern to the global economy, global markets, and American drivers.
All right, real quick before you go, we'll let you go after this, but real quick, we've heard the language and the threats. If it does come to that, what will that mean? How much longer could this go on? What would that mean to the markets, to all the oil, the gas, everything that's going on?
There have been a lot of analysis on this question, and even the Saudis have said that it is possible if the Straits of Hormuz are blocked for another month that we could see oil much higher than the over $100 today, maybe as much as 150 or even higher. That would be unprecedented and have hugely terrible impacts to the American and global economy. We need to figure out a way to get that strait open to prevent those outcomes.
Okay. Paul Bledsoe, public policy expert and environmental politics professor at American University. Thank you again for your insight and for the conversation this morning.
Thank you very much.